Hello everybody, this is Ryan over at High Carb Generator. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about what I eat in a day. I haven't made one of these in a long time. I've lost about 145 pounds over my plant-based, vegan, whatever life you want to call it. Lifestyle that you want to call it. Recently I've added in a lot of the water stuff. Lot of water. Because I didn't realize just how much hydration plays a role in this. I've noticed a lot of my clothes are fitting different, ironically, because my weight hasn't really changed a lot. So something's going on in the body. I was talking to a few YouTubers that everybody knows about this, and we all agreed that it does take a while. Like, you'll lose a bunch of weight, and then it'll take a while, and then you lose a bunch of weight, and it takes a while. You just got to be patient. You just got to be patient, and that is something that in the comment section, I see a lot of people who want instantaneous. Now, some people might get instantaneous. And when I first went on, when I was 405 pounds, it was instantaneous when I went raw vegan that first time. Even the first time. I don't count 2010 when I first experimented with vegan because I wasn't 100%. I still had dairy in it. I don't count that. I count 2011. That's when I dropped the dairy. That's when the weight really started coming off. I know this is what I eat in a day, but just have this in mind. When you eat this stuff, when you do this kind of stuff, you may not lose all the weight initially. Now, there is a very good component in adding in walking or some kind of, so you're not so sedentary all the time. That is going to help. But in my mind, if you're not doing that now, I would get the diet on point. Start seeing how that affects you. And then at some point in the future, whatever that is to you, add in exercise. Because if you add it in right away, you may not know if it was the exercise or what you were doing. Because some people come into the comments section and are like, yeah, I keep adding, I'm still adding fat. And I'm like, you can't do that. I have proven that. I am overweight again. I'm 265-ish. A lot of people are like, oh, you're not really overweight. You just got a little bit of a belly. And I'm like, to me, that's not great because I'm trying to get as much weight off as possible. But I was probably around 235 until I added the fat back in. If you are in this situation, you can't add the fat back in. Anyways, so let's get what I eat in a day. You just really have to watch the fat. So I keep wanting to pull up a book. One second. All right, I'm back. So the book by this guy, Nathan Pritikin, he talks a lot about exercise in this book. I read this book like in 5 minutes, I swear. It's such a good book. He talks a lot about exercise. A lot I agree with it and a lot I don't. But I think he says that just wait a little bit till you add the exercise just to get the diet on point and everything like that. Anyway, let's get started. 4 or 5 into this, and I'm getting into the diet. So I had been starting off with watermelon. I've been having a very hard time finding seeded watermelon, regular water, like the seedless watermelon. I don't digest well at all. I get really bloated, but when it's got seeds in it, I don't get bloated. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. So I started switching over to bananas in the morning, and I had a bunch of bananas get like super ripe all at the same time, so I had to freeze them, and that's when I came up with the idea that the video that you're going to see right now, that is some bananas, mango, a little bit of sugar, and orange juice. Added how I do. I don't put ingredient lists really in this because I don't know how much you want to make. So you're going to have to adjust this based on how much you actually want to eat and make. The sugar also, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the sugar, don't add too much sugar into this because you can actually make it oversweet and it just isn't good. I can't believe I'm saying that. Everybody's going to be like, oh, we told you sugar is bad for you. It's not the case. For whatever reason with ice cream, I don't like to add too much sugar in. It just takes over and it's just not that great. I did that yesterday and I really struggled to get it down, but I'm not wasting food, right? So I got it down, but my gut was like, bro, it's too much. So anyway, the next thing I've been doing, I didn't realize this has inverted sugar. If you can actually find this Haribo. that is actually vegan, but the inverted sugar, it doesn't digest well with me at all, so I've been staying away from it. This brand, on the other hand, Catalba, Dollar General, no, sorry, Family Dollar and Dollar Tree both have that brand that I found in this area anyway, and they are really good. Unfortunately, that one had gelatin in it. I read the label wrong. Most of them don't, but still read the label. They unfortunately have the terrible dyes in them, like Red 40 and all that, irradiated crickets. So unfortunately, you can't get around that in America. Some countries, I know Australia, from what I've seen, doesn't allow these terrible dyes anymore. Hopefully that kind of goes a little more mainstream. The ones that you get at Whole Foods or Lucky Mart, if you're lucky enough to have a Lucky Mart, or some other, maybe try out some bulk places, maybe even some bulk candy places. They might have some more, beet dyes or carrot dyes or, stuff like that that's a lot healthier for you. Try finding those out. They're more expensive, so you really have to gauge if it's worth it or not to you. That's what I have when I'm out in the car making my deliveries or whatever I do out in the world. Then for lunch, it's been so boring that I haven't even filmed any of it. I just have some kind of cereal or like a rice or something like that. I'll have rice going in a rice cooker. I'll come home, just eat it real quick, and then back out. So it's just so boring. The one that I really am excited about is the dinners that I've been making, and I finally made the black bean and corn soup. Finally made it. I will say this before I get started. The amount of liquid that you add into it is going to change whether you make more of a dip or if you make more of a soup. If you make more of a soup, obviously add more liquid. If you want more of a dip, obviously add less liquid. You're going to have to play around with this, and be sure, I'm going to say this before I even get into the ingredients. This is not a soup that you can walk away from at all. You have got to stir this soup constantly, not constantly, but you've really got to watch this. You can't just put this in a pan and just go watch TV or whatever, go for a walk. You cannot do that. It will stick to the bottom of the pan almost within a minute. So you really got to watch this one. Anyway, so what I did is I had onion from my dad's garden. I had garlic from my dad's garden. I chopped up the onion. I minced up the garlic, and I put those in. I let those saute for a little while. I made sure they were translucent, and then I added in a little bit of water to stop them from sauteing, and I added in the 2 cans of refried beans. Okay, the refried beans, fat-free refried beans, is not actually that hard to find. I've even found them at the Acme that's up the road, but they were pretty good. The ones from Trader Joe's are the best I've had ever. The ones from Acme were actually pretty good. They were pretty close. So I added the 2 cans in there, and then you add in however much liquid you're going to be adding into the soup. I didn't have vegetable stock, so I just added in water. It really doesn't change the flavor that much. It's a little less flavor, but not a ton. And you just kind of stir it until it all constitutes. You let that heat up a little bit, and then you add in whatever ingredients you want to add in. I added in a little bit of spice. I added a chili powder. I ran out of cumin, so I didn't add in cumin. The one thing that you do want to keep in mind, you're going to be adding a salsa into this. So if you are not somebody who likes a ton of flavor, then the salsa might just be all that you need. It really is up to you. He adds in optional. You can like your Tabasco sauce or jalapenos or habanero. If you really want to spice this up, go for it. I mean, the sky's the limit. When I was having people over, I added in some diced tomato and some already. I had boiled some potatoes and I added that in there, and I kind of or you can air fry potatoes and add it in. That's what you'll see that I did. I had some people over who are not anywhere near plant-based, but they loved it. I made more of a soup because I knew these kind of people. You might want to make it into some kind of a dip. That's all up to you. It really doesn't matter what you do with it. It's just really good. Really, really, really good. So then I added in the spice. I added in the corn. You'll see everything that I did in the video. That's exactly what you need to do. And then at the end, you add in the salsa because you don't want to get too hot with the salsa. Actually, the salsa is kind of like a reprieve if you really make it spicy. So I add the salsa in at the end and serve, because it holds heat really, really good. So if you add the salsa in at the end, you can kind of eat it right away. Whereas if you don't do that, you cannot eat this soup right away. It is just too, not spicy hot, is just too hot. Next one I made was absolutely phenomenal. I took some, I think they're called portobello, the little ones. I used the more dark style, whiter. It really doesn't matter which ones you use. I chopped up, I think, like 20, and I started sauteing them. And what I did was I put down some gochujang. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a Korean fermented chili paste. I put that in there with a little bit of water. I heated it up. I made sure the gochujang was constituted in the water, and then I put the mushrooms in there. It was in a wok. I made sure that they all absorbed up the gochujang or whatever spice that you want to use. And then I sauteed them until they were really good and sauteed. And then I added in some corn. I added some diced tomatoes, and I let that go for a little while. And then I added in some Japanese barbecue sauce. I might have added something else in there. I can't remember. You'll see in the video. And then I let that just kind of all constitute heat up. And then I added in 2 cups of rice from the rice cooker. And I let that just kind of all formulate. That was just so good. I actually ran myself out of mushrooms. Otherwise, I would have done that the next day. And I forgot to go to the grocery store. So blah, blah, blah. The next one that one's really good. Really good. That's one that I swear that you could eat like almost daily. You could just, because you could change it up so much. That's just like a really good base. The next one that I made was a air fried potato. I made the air fried potatoes into maybe like 1-inch cubes, something like that. You can't just cube a potato, because you really, the potatoes, unless you get the ones that are the exact same size, if they're not the exact same size, they're going to have too much different cooking time. So you really got to make sure they're all kind of the same size. I air fried that because of the style air fryer that I have. It's like a basket style. It took 40 minutes to get these things cooked because I had to keep going in there every 10 minutes, and I would kind of move the basket around and just toss the potatoes around. That way they didn't all stick to the bottom and stick to each other. So you really got to, it's a little bit of a process. If you have one of the sheet style ones, you probably don't have to go through that as much. Okay. So, and then what I did is I added in the, if you got a Costco near you, this is local, so I don't know if every Costco has this, but locally we have this, three beans, salad that's in some vinegar. I poured out most of the vinegar, but I put a little bit of the vinegar in here. The 3-bean salad, some corn, and then I put in salsa. You'll see in the video. I put in some salsa, I put in some mustard, and then I put in some Japanese barbecue sauce. I tossed that all, and then I put it in a pita. The pita that I got was phenomenal, but it was too thin. It didn't hold it very well, but it really tasted good. So if you can find a good pita for this tasted really, really good. Or just put less liquid in. Like maybe cut out the salsa or something like that, or dip it in a salsa. So this is not a full blown, I know what I'm doing with this yet. It's just something that I thought I do a lot of food delivery, and I keep going to this Lebanese place to get food to drop off to people, and they have this pita sitting on the counter. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this pita. I don't know why I thought to put this together, and I did, and it was really good. I can see how you really could really get this thing into something that is very edible. The one I made, it was too wet. And that's it. I think that's kind of all I've been eating lately. I've just been eating very simply because I'm working all day, and I just don't feel like coming home and doing some like gourmet, whatever. So anyway, you got any comments, questions, leave them down below. If you got any recipes that you want people to try, or if you want one that you want me to really put together, let me know down in the comments section below. This week is going to be even less probably videos than last week. And then when Friday hits, everything's done. I'll make a video about what everything is, and that's it. So thank you for watching. If you think this will do anybody any good, share it, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.